All right, Alan Schimmel, DevOps.com, DevOps TV, here at Does Enterprise Summit 2017. We are joined by a good friend of mine, Dr. Mik Kersten, co-founder and CEO of Tasktop. Mik, how are you?
I am well. I'm thrilled to be here, and it's a great
Thrilled
show
to have you
as
here.
always.
So Tasktop has certainly been making a lot of news recently. Hired Dominica de Grandes,
Yes, thrilled that that's happened.
Director of Digital Transformation.
Correct. Yep.
We just had her here at interview, and that's great. Did you announce a raise? Maybe not.
We did. We announced our Series B. That was in April. Yeah. So Series B round of
I knew
financing,
it.
drive more
What
growth.
other new news lately?
Oh, we just had our first user conference in October. That went really well.
Yes. How was that?
Oh, it was fantastic. It was really interesting because we always thought we're such an infrastructure product that's really making these transformations successful by selling to the central IT team, right? And allowing them to bring in all these new tools that you see at the conference here and all those innovations and succeed in their transformation. So we thought, okay, compared to the days when we were a developer tool where we had so many people using us, we just wouldn't have that many people show up. But the people who showed up, it was A, there was a great crowd, and B, it was the most interesting people that we know doing these extremely consequential and large transformations. So,
I would say that one of the biggest changes I've seen in my days here is the move from sort of conferences, non-vendor, not user conference, traditional conferences, to user conferences. And it used to be, who the hell would want to go to user conference? It's only the one spot. It's only the one vendor. But that is, I think that's the way things are going.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think in North America there's this pull for vendor conferences, these vendor communities, right? Those have been popular. I think it's also really important to have these vendor-neutral places where you've got different vendors coming, you've got non-vendor content, a lot of customer content on stage, which is why I think the way that this conference, DevOps Enterprise Summit, is curated is actually a really important role for the industry, because so much, people get a lot from the Microsoft shows or from the Amazon conference and others, but we need this community of the leaders who are doing their best to bring in different pieces into their toolbox, and some of them are tool pieces, some are cultural lessons, some are success stories, and so on. So I think it's good that we also have this kind of show.
You need both, but it was the pendulum was all the way against user conferences. Let's say 6-7 years ago, 8 years ago, and now I think it's swung back. But Mik, let me ask another question. I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
And I realized that when we were outside earlier speaking to the CEO of another company, and trying to explain what Tasktop actually does.
Yeah.
And I think, a lot of our audience, I'm sure there's a ton of customers or users of Tasktop, but there's also people maybe who've heard of Tasktop but aren't sure, and there are some who haven't heard of Tasktop.
Yeah.
At a very, elevator pitch, simple level, what is it that you guys, I always explain it as, they're kind of the glue behind all of these disparate tools that you're using. The one thing about DevOps, there's no lack of tools.
Yeah.
And this glues it all together at some level. But how do you explain it?
So that's exactly right. But I'm going to give you the way we explained it at the user conference, because we've discovered a very new way of looking at what we are to these large organizations, to our customers. And what you'll hear a lot around the DevOps community, from the DevOps handbook, you'll even hear this in some of the Scaled Agile framework literature and other literature, is that we need to align our businesses around transformation around value streams. In the end, what we're responsible for as IT leaders is delivering business value to the market with low lead time. So we're getting features out there quickly with high change success rates, reliable builds and safety and so on. And that's a lot of what you hear on the stage here. So what we realize is to do that, first of all, these organizations need to bring in these best-of-breed tools, because Agile and DevOps and mobile and cloud are all about these best-of-breed tool chains. The world of one vendor, say Rational, and 10 years ago, is just gone. So that's opened the door for, I've got this chart in my talk on Wednesday. It shows 200 DevOps startups. It's done by a VC firm, Growth Point Ventures actually, and shows a couple hundred startups in the DevOps ecosystem right now. So things have become very best of breed, like you said, and there's this glue needed. And so the question is, what are we gluing together, and what are all these IT leaders trying to do? And in the end, again, everyone's trying to deliver business value faster because they're threatened by that startup. There's competition coming. Organizations are always learning. And so what Tasktop has become is a vendor for creating your value stream network. So I think one of the fallacies around DevOps and around large-scale Agile is that there's some linear process there. There's some manufacturing process there that's like building a car. Right. And it's just nothing like that. There's nothing that, you don't break an assembly line, right? Your you're constrained in an assembly line is a very obvious thing. Whereas in a software organization, if you could look inside what's flowing in a 3,000, 10,000 person IT shop, there's nothing quite like that. But there's this network of communication between people and teams that happens over tools. Some of it goes over Slack, some of it goes over Agile Backlog, some of it through the support desk and so on. So what we're doing with our customers is allowing them to create a value stream network, to connect the flows between all the people and processes and tools, and then to make sure they've got the first way of DevOps, which is flow, the second way of DevOps, which is feedback, so those people are communicating, and of course visibility on the two things. So what we do is value stream integration, connect up all those tools so you can create this network, and then give you visibility to the network so you can see, okay, this one particular value stream, this one product has a lead time that's 10 times longer than another one, and maybe they have some architectural dependencies on something else, and maybe they needed that mainframe stuff wrapped in a microservice, whatever that thing is, but we need to be able to connect this value stream so that we can see it. So for us now, it's Tasktop does value stream networking.
Fantastic. I love that you wove in the 3 ways as well. Very cool, especially here at DevOps Enterprise Summit. Mik, thank you very much for explaining that to us. Thanks for being our guest. Continued success. I mean, you guys, from my point of view out here, it looks like you guys are rocking.
Oh, it's been great. The growth last year was amazing. The growth is already happening this year. We're hiring like crazy. So
that. It will, man. You're one of the smartest people we have out here. Thanks,
great
Mik. Dr. Mik Kersten, CEO Tasktop, here with Alan Schimmel, DevOps.com, DevOps TV, DevOps Enterprise Summit. Have a great day, everyone.